Damn phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
In November, I made a video about NIL. In this video, I talked about how NIL is changing college sports and the outlook of college sports forever. I would also talk about how some of the top earners heading into the season with their NIL deals fared with their performance compared to the hype they had going in, how marketable they seemed, etc. Things like that. It was also mentioned in my video my thoughts and takes on it and how NIL is already changing present day. It's been roughly about 2 months since I have made that video, and a lot of things have changed with NIL, especially in the sense of high school recruiting and recruiting in the transfer portal, as everything seems like it is a bidding war for the top players. In today's video, I am going to be talking about how NIL should possibly be getting some rules added to it so college football isn't basically NFL free agency, whether it be high school recruiting or recruiting in the transfer portal. And before I move on, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, as we are on the road to 10K. Now, let's get into it. In case you do not know what NIL is, or NIL just really confuses you, a summary, a very watered down one at that, is that NIL is a name, image, and likeness bill where college athletes can make money off, well, their name, image, and likeness through advertising, sponsorships, brand deals, even with third-party groups that can offer you money to go to their school if you're in the portal or really a high school athlete at that. I also want to say, I am all for NIL, as I think it's been long overdue for college athletes to finally make money off their name, image, and likeness. And when I did make my first video about NIL, it really seemed like it was going to be a very positive thing, and it still is a very positive thing. But recently, with a bunch of players entering the portal and all of that, I feel like we're starting to see some of the negatives of it. The first case that I want to talk about with NIL in this video involves the most profitable team in college football, one of the most highly known teams in the nation for college football, and a team that has a rich, and I mean rich, tradition of football, and that's none other than Texas. The big example with Texas that I am going to bring up involves their offensive lineman NIL deal that was announced literally just a couple weeks before early National Signing Day. And this deal is when every scholarship offensive lineman at the University of Texas will be earning $50,000 every season for their use of their name, image, and likeness. This NIL deal is considered a charitable cause, as it is gathered up by donors of the University of Texas of former alumni. And honestly, I don't think it's a coincidence that this happened about 2 weeks before early signing day for Texas, and since that time, currently, they have a total of 6 offensive linemen committed in their current 2022 recruiting class, and they're more than likely going to add 1 more lineman in that class as well. I'm going to be real, this is a very smart NIL deal that Texas came up with, but I really do think it's kind of fishy, and I feel like this is something that might get regulation in the future that won't exactly be allowed, as offensive linemen are going to fly left and right to go to Texas now. And some already do no matter what, because Texas, well, Texas has the football history, and Texas is Texas at the end of the day, no matter how disappointing of seasons they might have had in the past few years. However, to me, the thing that makes it fishy, along with when it was announced, is that they're more than likely going to have 7 commits in this class for the offensive line. And that's something that is really never heard of, as why would you have 7 offensive linemen in the class when you can't even play 7 offensive linemen on the field at the same time? Most of the time, you will not have that many offensive linemen in one class together. On to my next point in this video, and probably the biggest point, is that it's starting to look like college football is just one big bidding war for players nowadays, especially in the transfer portal, and it's starting to seem like the transfer portal is the new NFL free agency. You might be wondering, how is college football starting to become an NFL free agency? And well, to answer that question, if you've been keeping up with football recruiting, you can see that there's players that are entering the portal, players that are entirely listening to teams just because of NIL and the potential amount of money that they can make at their school and the sponsorships that they might get just because simply they go to a certain school. One example of this is with current transfer quarterback Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is one of the most sought after quarterbacks in the country right now. He is someone that is also going to be making a ton of money from NIL, as he's going to be a top quarterback heading into 2022 and is an electrifying player if you kept up with him at all at Oklahoma in 2021. Wherever he decides to play the rest of his college football career at, he is going to have a huge NIL deal affiliated with that school just because he is going to them. And the thing with this, you can already see it with one school that honestly has no shot at landing Caleb Williams, and that school is Eastern Michigan. Now, Eastern Michigan is not a big school and play in the Group of 5 conference, the MAC. Now, Eastern Michigan has not been bad these last few seasons, but they are by no means a blue blood of college football or one of the most profitable teams in college football at that. But even then, Caleb Williams has a $1 million offer from former NFL quarterback Charlie Batch. You can only imagine that if Caleb Williams is getting that big of an offer from Eastern Michigan just to play there for one season, then Caleb Williams' other offers, the ones that he's actually going to be taking serious, are going to be way more than $1 million. Because if a school like Eastern Michigan is going to have a $1 million offer to play for them, you can only imagine some of the schools like Georgia, Ole Miss, USC, UCLA, even OU, if he really wants to go back there, are going to be offering Caleb Williams. We saw something similar with another transfer portal quarterback who is going to be the starting quarterback for Texas in 2022, Quinn Ewers. As he was transferring from Ohio State, he was seen as someone that would go to Texas, and that was the more than likely going to be his destination, but he signed an NIL deal just to play with Texas as well that is worth supposedly first round pick money. I want to close off this video by saying I do not think NIL should go anywhere. I'm all for NIL, and I think NIL is great. However, I think there should be some rules added into NIL so college football isn't going to become some big NFL free agency type thing or just one huge bidding war for players. I feel like this past month alone, with players entering the portal and high school football players opening their options again for more NIL opportunities, that the college football landscape is really changing with NIL, and it's starting to become a bidding war. And I feel like once it starts becoming too much of a bidding war, you kind of need to, limit some things a little bit. I think NIL is great, but you cannot just have everything be just one huge bidding war, as it could potentially ruin the game, and it's only going to get worse if nothing changes. Well guys, if you made it this far in the video, comment something down below. What are your thoughts on NIL, and should there be some restrictions on NIL? And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, and subscribe for more videos. B. Kelly, out.